Hey there, Chicagoland investors. There's 3 laws that a lot of people still are not aware of, that even though they're a couple years old, and I want to tell you about those today. Hi, I'm Mark Ganley, partner, founder, GC Realty Development, Chicago's responsive property manager, and also co-host of Chicago's #1 real estate investing podcast, Straight Up Chicago Investor. So check that out. But today, I want to talk to you about 3 things that, I'm fortunate enough that in what I do on a daily basis, I get to talk to real estate investors all the time, between the podcast, between the property management, between the networking. It's awesome. So these three things are, just this week I talked to people and these investors did not even know that these existed. So first off, flood disclosure. So in 2025, anywhere in Illinois, this is not a Cook County thing, it's not a Chicago thing, anywhere in Illinois, you're now required to provide a flood disclosure. Now that flood disclosure is basically saying that you're not aware as a landlord that there's any flooding that's occurred or their personal belongings are at any risk. So similar to your lead-based paint, it's a 1-page disclosure that you're initialing off that you either are aware of it and you're disclosing it, or you're not. So a lot of people are like, oh, this my place never floods, or I'm not in a flood zone. It's not specific to flood zones. So if you have a basement and the tenant has access to it, you have to report it. If you have a condo and you're on the 43rd floor, but the storage unit is in the basement and the tenant has access to it, you have to have that disclosure. So for us, best practices, we put it into all of our leases no matter what, and if it just doesn't apply, then it just applies that there's no flooding at that point. So if you have a garden unit, if you have a basement unit, if you have a unit that's duplex down, you still have to do it. So best practice, put this disclosure in your lease no matter what. So second thing is the Illinois Tenant Credit Reporting Act. So this is one that a lot of people are like, this is not fair, it's not right. And I hear it on the surface, but it really, when it comes down to it, should not affect you as a landlord too much. As of 2025, a tenant is allowed to apply for your rental and bring their own credit report. Now, right away, I'm setting off red flags. You're saying, oh my gosh, they're AI, they recreated it, they can play with it. You're right. All those things are probably true. Probably not likely, but those things are possible. Now, what this does is, doesn't mean that you can't go run your own credit report. It just means you can't charge the tenant for it. So, for example, we charge a $60 application fee, and what we do is we reduce that application fee by what we pay for the credit report. So I think we pay $23 or $26 for the credit report, and we reduce their application fee by that amount. So, and we do disclose to them, we're still going to go running your credit. We're just going to give you this kind of application. We appreciate you bringing your credit report, but we want to follow our process to make sure that we cover all our bases. So it doesn't mean that you can't run your own credit. It doesn't mean that you have to accept something that you're fearful of is going to be fraudulent. It just means that you cannot charge for it. And that's, most, here we are in 2026 and, 14, 16 months into this. I think we've only had it happen once where someone actually showed up with their own credit report. So keep that in mind. Now, what we have had is we've had tenants ask us for a copy of their credit report, which I imagine if they got denied, I imagine they're taking other places. So that is something that you will want to discuss with your attorney or how you write your office policy. So, and last but not least, 5-day versus 30-day notice. So coming out of the CARES Act after COVID, anyone that had a mortgage that was backed by Fannie or Freddie, or anyone that had a Section 8 tenant, or anyone that was getting some sort of government funding, was required to, instead of giving your traditional 5-day notice if someone didn't pay, give a 30-day notice. And that was horrible. It totally stretched out the lines of an already long eviction process and so forth. But in fall of 2025, they reduced it to the only people that have to deliver a 30-day notice over a 5-day notice is anyone that has a subsidy tenant. So if you have a Section 8 tenant, whether it be CHA in DuPage County or whatnot, you have to have a 30-day notice to evict versus a 5-day notice. So maybe I know here I'm recording this in 2026. There's talks about repealing that as well too. By the time you're watching this, maybe that's not the case. So if this is more than a couple months old, you might want to check that out. But just be cautious that at the time of this video, you are required to deliver a 30-day notice to Section 8 tenants. So those are 3 things that a lot of Chicago real estate investors, have no clue about. I just want to make sure you're aware of. If you don't want to deal with property management, if you don't want to deal with tenant placement, check out GC Realty Development. 2 things we do really good. We lower your risk. I'm talking about all these laws that people don't know about. There's a lot of risk if you don't know these things. And then we give you the ability to buy back your time. You have you know, you have a single unit, it's going to take you 25 hours a year to manage it. We'll take that for a small monthly management fee off your plate. You can continue to grow your portfolio, grow your investment, real estate investment side of your nest egg without having to put the time into it. Talk to you soon.